So, for this first one, we've got Nimina. Nimenia? I can't pronounce her name, sorry drawing with Mr. S, but it was an awesome design. It's kind of like a halfling character, and give me very much D&D vibes. And the description had about cooking, so I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted to do a kind of pose showing off her support abilities, which is why I kind of done the almost like the dynamic maid, hostess, tavern girl type pose with a nice kind of juicy piece of meat for the plate and the meal. And the details on this, I'll tell you what, drawing with Mr. S, you did amazing. There's a lot of details on this that I had so much fun doing in the clothing design and that, which I would never have thought about myself. So I tried to keep the colours close to the colour scheme. Very interesting colour pattern, lots of pinks and purples, which were really nice. And I had a lot of fun doing this. Now, this was a response to, well, I say a response. I drew this before the counter-attack by drawing with Mr. S, where he kind of countered everybody in a massive art piece, which was really cool, and it looks amazing. I'll put it on screen now. But yes, I thought this character was quite cool. I liked the design, liked the whole aspect, and with the style that I've kind of been developing and working with, it's really, really nice and works really well. Although, the pattern, yes, the pattern. I'm glad I pulled it off with a similar type of pattern, but yeah, that was not fun at all. They take so long to do. I was considering hand drawing, and then I kind of cheated. I kind of used the pattern, which was quite nicely. A little aspect of it. The eyes doing the kind of like the glowing pop effect that I've been learning. And for bits of this, I thought less is more. So kind of tried to hold back a little bit on some of the details, where as I wanted to highlight, I kind of knew I wanted some kind of outdoor campfire scene for this. So after spending a little while making the meat look as juicy and glowy and yeah, just as delicious and mouth-watering, and my mouth's watering now just looking at it on the time lapse because I was getting hungry when I was drawing this, so memories are flashing back. But yeah, worked on a bit of post-processing and the kind of like the glow effect outside I kind of picked up during Artifight to make the characters pop with the radial blur effect, which looks quite nice here, but once you add the background, which I kind of tilted at an angle, which is a good technique and good trick, it kind of makes the whole character pop, which is really cool. Yeah, there's not really much else to say on this one other than it was an amazing character design drawn from Mr. S, and I really enjoyed drawing Nimina in my style, and I hope all of you like how it turned out. So, next up is Night of Arcane, and they did a really lovely illustration of Nexum and Demonica, which is really cool to see. So, I picked Malva, the half-dragon, really kind of, I want to say I've got the nice Conan the Barbarian type feel from this character. Definitely get the fantasy world elements, and there's so much in the design. I mean, Night of Arcane, I had so much fun doing this, but the details took me a while, but I was determined to do as many of them as I can. So we've got the tail, we've got the lovely costume design. Have to say, Night of Arcane, your costume designs are as epic as ever, and definitely kept me on my toes with this character. And I do like the story of learning the kind of magical abilities. So I wanted to take the design from Night of Arcane's character and just amend the pose. I quite like the idea of the setting and the scene for this one, where Malva is exploring some kind of ruins or cave. So I took that and I rolled with it. Obviously, the line art is the most time-consuming stage, and it does have a lot of details, but I really think I did a good job on this one. I think I captured the kind of essence of the character from the scene in the reference image. I also enjoyed the whole colour scheme and the whole lighting effect on this one, which you'll see. So to help with the lighting, I kind of did the glow effect on the flame first in the background, to give me kind of the direction of it a bit more. I knew in my head where I wanted it to go, but it does help having a visual representation. And then the key thing I kind of remembered on this one to try and do is to get the textures of the items. So metallic items or non-fabric items would reflect more light than, say, the fabrics of the kind of like the cloth for the skirt or the fur around the neck. Even the hair would reflect a fair bit of light, but not quite as much, so it would have less of a sheen or a shine. And yeah, I think I've really managed to push the character design a bit more on this one, and it looked really, really cool. I have to say, one of the other things I like on the design is the markings on the face, which really help to give a unique feel to the character. Obviously, being a kind of humanoid Dragon King form, the silhouette for the character has a rather unique design, so it'll be quite good and readable, which is really, really useful. The horns, I kind of kept them simple, and with the hair, I wanted to get some bits reflecting, but obviously there's more that's going to be behind the kind of area of the light source, so they were going to be darker and kind of work on the whole lighting effect. Did a slightly different technique for the hair, which I love how the highlights came out on this one. And the flame was quite fun, going for the kind of gradient feel, had a couple of reference images. Again, that glow effect, I really love that glow effect at the moment, so that's a really cool one. But I hope you like how the final version of this character came out. Next up, we have Sir Samalot by Nerd Comics Inc. And I have to say, Nerd, the amount of artwork you just literally churned out in Art Fight was amazing. The fact that you're such a speedy artist, so by the time Kingpin finishes live stream, I think you'd already done a counter-attack to his counter-attack. It's absolutely fantastic. But I loved the design for this character, and one of the key things I wanted to do was make sure that while I was looking for characters to attack other people, like the Fellowship, I wanted to pick characters that hadn't already been attacked or seemed to be lacking the love of redraw in someone's style. And that's exactly what I did. I kind of went with the anime hero style. I do love the fact that you've got a character who has a super short attention span, wielding a sword that's trying to take control of them. So it's a natural defense and counterbalance to it. That concept in your lore was absolutely amazing. The actual armor design and colors were quite cool. I did like the fact that they were all various colors of reds or pinks that work well with the simple bits of the armor. The sword design was epic, and I hope I captured the essence of it. I wanted to get as much of it in as possible, while also kind of bringing a bit more of a glow to the lighting effects from the reference image. I love the fact that your character has this whole lore and story to it, being almost like the underdog hero, which everyone loves. And I think I managed to capture the essence of the character. I did try to keep the core elements the same for everything. I think I did a good job representing the armor, even though it was quite simple. It was quite tricky to place some of it just because of the pose. But I have to say, all in all, I really enjoyed the character design and redrawing it in my style. Now, one thing to note on this, the way to make characters a bit more dynamic, it's a bit tricky when they're in like a standing pose like this. But what does help is a cross between the lighting. Tilt the shoulders a bit, sometimes in a slightly different direction to the hips, or a slightly different angle so they're not quite exactly the same. Ironically, it shifts the weight of the character. It does an amazing job to just give a bit more emphasis. Again, that glow effect that I've been learning to do and I'm kind of fascinated with, a couple of layer blending modes, really helps the elements of the sword pop. And it helps the character pop out from the background with the radial glow in a little bit. Now, I did have a darker background starting on this to give me a bit more of a contrast so I can see the colours of the character a bit more. And then I kind of wanted to try and capture some of the cloudy type or the feel of the background and the essence of the reference image. I couldn't quite do the same bit in my style, but I think what I did works really well. It gives that whole dynamic, kind of like the focus on the character vibe, like something's about to happen or you know they're the main character. Lens flare in the background worked really well, and you can see it's a bit brighter in colour, but I made it red in the end and it looks really cool. And last up, we have a character that is not one of the Fellowship artists. We have a character I technically should have put in the last video, but I wanted to spread them out equally and have 4 in each. So we have a guest appearance by a character from Alligator Slippers. I love the name, it's amazing. And it's their original character, Nella. Now, Nella lives in a world surrounded and infected by zombies, but the zombie virus doesn't affect humans, it just affects the animals, which I thought was a nice concept. But this character is sort of really cheery with a nice kind of deposition, I would say, for the personality. However, I did want to draw the kind of, almost, it looks like a guitar case on the back, but the lore says it's not a guitar in it. It's actually all sorts of either weapons or bits and bobs to survive in this world. And the personality of the character said they probably put some random stickers on it. So I thought, what would be better than actually having some stickers that match the design in the t-shirt? Obviously, this is redrawing the characters in my style, so I try to keep as true to them as possible with the original design. There was colour references in there, and I matched them as close as possible. But I kind of feel the nice, innocent arms behind the back kind of pose works really well for the personality of the character. I also found it was a good trick because I was struggling to draw arms that day on some other pieces of artwork, so I decided, nope, I'm not going to do them. Anyway, once we got back to the artwork where we are and adding the light and shading, I kind of did my usual bit of the kind of like the light sources in front and to the upper left of the screen. I have to play around with moving that in a few artworks and the dynamic poses a little bit more, but it works, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The other thing to bear in mind also is the kind of way the fabrics move. So I tried to get the essence of where the fabrics pull tighter to where it's more loose and baggy in the design, even on the bag, which works really well, and kind of soft erasing the harder parts of the shadows to make them a bit more transparent, and then working shadows back in was a nice effect on this. Again, glowing with the eyes, it's a nice technique, it works really well. Thank you to Lost Art for that one, the one you lost. It's an amazing technique, and if you guys haven't, check them out as well. Now, for the background on this one, I wanted to try and capture the dystopian feel. So after I've done the kind of radio blur effect, which really makes the characters pop from the backgrounds, I wanted to try and capture the kind of a zombie environment you'd have, the whole feeling and vibe. And I went to do some silhouettes for some trees or something and kind of do this effect. Then I used the cracked brush and it did what looked like branches or kind of like trees. I replicated it and kind of like moved it around a little bit, as you can see. Changed the background color a few times, wanted to do random effects. Got this really cool looking one. I don't know exactly what I did in the process. You can see it on screen. But yeah, it really works and it stands out. Well, that's it for Art Fight 2025. I know it finished back at the end of July, and I'm definitely going to do it next year. A little bit sad Team Crystal won by a hair's breadth. Kingpin Creations, we will get you next year if you're on another team. But in the meantime, why not check out the other content on the channel? I'll put links on screen, and let's look forward to the community redraw at the end of the month. Bye, guys.